Welcome. I'm Dr. Clare Allen, and today I've got a really exciting topic, and it's metaphysics and leadership, the secret connection. Now then, I was a CEO in my 20s and I held CEO roles for 30 years. I've got a doctorate of business administration, a master's of business leadership, and I've got a master's of metaphysics. So how do the two go together? Well, I'm going to take you through this, and it's going to be a fantastic presentation so you can understand the alignment. Okay, most leaders are literally obsessed with the usual stuff, right? Strategy, metrics, and execution. And they spend their entire careers sharpening those tools. That's right, that's what they focus on. But what if the blueprint that they're building from is completely flawed? What if the most powerful lever for your success isn't the business plan, but it's hidden in your beliefs about reality itself? Now, we're about to explore the secret connection between metaphysics and leadership, and how what you truly believe is shaping your team's performance and your own legacy. So we're going to talk now about the problem, the leader treadmill. Let's call it that. So to be honest, for a lot of leaders, the day-to-day feels like you're on a treadmill that just keeps speeding up, right? You're doing everything you're supposed to. You're setting KPIs, you're optimizing workflows, and holding all the right meetings. And you're actually managing and directing and executing perfectly. Well done. So why does your team feel so disengaged? Why are the best people quiet quitting or just leaving? And why, despite hitting your targets, you actually feel that there's something not quite right, something is missing. In fact, you feel like a fraud, and really burnout is in the distant future. No, it's actually here right now. See, this is modern leadership for so many people, a state of running faster and faster but feeling less and less inspired. Has your inspiration gone? You see, the problem isn't that you're not working hard enough. The problem is you're operating on the surface. You're totally focused on the what and the how. You're trying to patch the cracks in the wall, but you've never stopped to look at the foundation that the whole house is built upon. So there's a gap between what leaders think is happening and what's actually happening. Now, as people try to get work done, this gap, this reality delta, gets wider every time a decision is made based on some ideal or some version of how things should work, while completely ignoring the real world pressures your team is dealing with. You see, you can't fix what you don't understand, and most leaders don't understand the invisible forces at play. So, Claire, that sounds really great, but what's the solution? Well, I'm going to talk about metaphysics, which I believe is the hidden lever. So let's have a talk about the hidden force of metaphysics. Now, before you click away thinking this is all about woo-woo, let's define it. In a leadership context, metaphysics isn't about incense and crystals. It's simply your fundamental beliefs about how the world works. It's the invisible set of assumptions you have about purpose, potential, and how change really happens. So I want you to think about it like a computer's operating system. You never actually see the operating system, but it runs every single program. It sets the rules, the limits, and the possibilities. In exactly the same way, your personal metaphysics, your core beliefs are running in the background. And every decision you make, every piece of feedback you give, and every meeting you run, they are quietly shaping the culture you create. Just sit with that for a minute. Now, most leaders try to change what they do. They basically try and try. But the greatest leaders focus on upgrading how they see the operating system itself. Because when you change the operating system, all the apps run really differently. The first job of a leader is to define reality, and that really starts inside your own head. Now, this isn't just philosophical daydreams. It's a practical tool. Leadership is an inside job. When you consciously look at your own beliefs and you align them with your actions, you unlock this level of influence and this level of strategy that is going to literally change everything. So now let's look at the metaphysical levers of leadership, and there are 3 of them. So how do we make this real? How do I make this real for you? Well, it really boils down to looking at 3 core beliefs that are secretly running your leadership style every damn day. Lever 1, your belief about reality. Now, this is the game you're playing, right? This is your belief system. This is what is acting out every day. The first and maybe the most important belief is about the nature of the game of the business itself. Now, Simon Sinek explains this as 2 types of games, finite and infinite. A finite game has clear players, fixed rules, and an obvious endpoint where someone wins and someone loses. Think of it as a football game. An infinite game, on the other hand, has players who come and go and rules that can change at any time, and there's no finish line. The goal isn't to win, it's to just keep playing and growing. Business leaders, they basically understand this. I understood this. I understood that it was a game that I just keep playing and growing and learning. Now, so many people in organizations, basically, they start to look at problems and they start playing with a finite mindset to tackle those problems. Now, what happens is they get obsessed with beating the competition, winning the quarter, or hitting some number that they pick out of the air. Now, this thinking always leads to cutting corners on quality and trust and culture, because the short-term win feels more important than the long-term health of the company. A finite-minded leader is trying to end the game, but the game of business doesn't end. So there's 2 things I talk about when I teach people leadership. I talk about the fact I play a long game, and I talk about quick wins. Now, a leader with an infinite mindset gets that the only real competitor is the one who was yesterday. The goal isn't to be number 1, it's to be better this year than you was last year. Now that takes a lot of pressure off you, right? They build stronger, more innovative and more inspiring teams because people trust them. They create a space where team members can admit that they basically messed up or ask for help without being afraid or getting shamed, right? We don't want to shame people. It's the last thing you want to do. Nobody bounces from a level of shame. So think about it. Are your decisions designed to look good on a quarterly report or to keep you relevant for the next decade? In other words, keep you in your job? Or are you actually trying to crush a rival? Like, what's your motive? Or are you learning from them as a worthy rival? Who shows up when you need to get better? What shows up for you? Your answer reveals the game you're playing, and it determines the quality of the team you build. For example, if I'm trying to compete with a rival, I've taken my eye off the game, the bigger picture, right? Now, if this is clicking for you and you're ready to start playing the infinite game, do me a favor and hit that subscribe button, please. Now, I want to get into some practical, purpose-driven leadership like this every single week. So this is really important. I want to teach you to be a leader of leaders. Now, the second lever is your belief about purpose. So let's talk about extraction versus contribution. Now, the second lever is your belief about the purpose of your team. Have you even ever thought about that? Is your company here mainly to extract value for shareholders, or is it here to contribute value to clients, the community, and its own employees? Now, this isn't just a word game. It's the fundamental difference between transactional managers and transformational leaders. A leader with an extraction mindset sees people as resources. Their main questions are, how can I get the most out of my people? Or how do we maximize profit? And this creates a culture of compliance. where people do what they're told, but that's it. They don't do any more. It's a transactional relationship. You do this, you get that. Transactional relationships do not stand the test of time. But the leader with a contribution mindset sees the business as a way to achieve a bigger purpose, right? Have a contribution mindset. Now, the main question is different. How do I create an environment where my people can be their best selves? They see people not as cogs in a machine, but as partners in a shared mission. Their focus shifts from managing output to unlocking potential. I just love it. Now, this inspires people to care about something bigger than their own self-interest. If you're a leader, just shove that self-interest to the side. Now, this doesn't mean you ignore profit. Profit is critical. But for a contribution mindset leader, profit is the fuel, not the destination. The destination is the just cause. A vision of the future that's so compelling, people are willing to make sacrifices to help build it. Yes, they're prepared to make sacrifices. It's no longer transactional. Now, when people feel that they're part of something that matters, their engagement, their creativity, and their grit goes through the roof. So what's the story you tell about your work? Is it a story about hitting numbers or a story about making a difference? Which story are you telling when you go home, when you sit with yourself? The story you believe is the one that your team will have to live in. That's right, you've created this story and they have to live with it. Now, the third lever, your belief about potential. Is it fixed or is it a growth mindset? This is the final lever. This is basically about your belief in human potential. Now, I often had people say to me, you seem to believe more in us than we believe in ourselves. And I'd say, yes, until you catch up. You see, your team's skills and talents are basically fixed. No, they're basically untapped potential. They're just waiting to be developed, right? Don't think that people have reached a plateau. Think that they can expand, and they will expand. Now, this is the heart of Carol Dweck's fixed versus growth mindset. Now, what she talks about is if you actually have a growth mindset as a leader, it changes everything. Now, a leader with a fixed mindset is obsessed with talent. They hire for fancy resumes and they're quick to label people as A players or not a good fit. They often micromanage because they don't really trust their team to grow beyond what they can do today. Now, a coaching client of mine was stuck in this trap. He kept telling himself, I can't delegate this, which left him buried in work he hated while his team felt totally disempowered. Now, on the other hand, a leader with a growth mindset believes potential can be built. They're not threatened when someone on their team is smarter than them. They celebrate it. They see mistakes not as failures, but as data, because they believe people can grow. They delegate more, they invest in development and build a culture of coaching. They challenge their team to grow, helping them find their own answers. That's right. You don't have to have all the answers. Most of the time when people ask a question, the answer is inside them, so get them to face it. Now, this belief becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. When you treat people like their potential is limited, they'll live down to your expectations, and it'll keep going further down. But when you lead with a genuine belief that they can grow, you create a condition for them to surprise themselves and you, and that's empowerment, right? So let's go to the last section, which is application and conclusion. So what do you do with all this information I'm giving you? Understanding it is one thing, but the goal is to move from unconscious belief to conscious leadership. So here's a simple exercise. For the next 7 days before every big decision or tough conversation or team meeting, pause and ask yourself one question. What belief is driving this action? Is it finite belief about winning? An extraction belief about what you can get? A fixed belief about someone's limits? Or is it an infinite belief about getting better? A contribution belief about what you can give? And a growth belief in their potential? This simple act of awareness is the first step. It makes the invisible visible. Now, at the end of the day, your legacy as a leader won't be the revenue targets you hit. It will be the culture that lives on long after you're gone. It will be the environment you created for the people you led. It sounds remarkable, and it is. So choose to play the infinite game. Lead with purpose that contributes something to the world, and believe in the limitless potential of the people around you. That's the secret connection between metaphysics and leadership. This is how you build something that actually lasts. Now, my friend, if you're ready to lead from a deeper place, make sure you're subscribed. And I've got a question for you. Which of these 3 beliefs, reality, purpose, or potential, hit home for you the most? Let me know in the comments below. I read every single one.